So there's a delay.
There's a delay. I'm
There's a
sorry.
there's a
Should I
long delay.
not laugh? Let me. Hold
But
on.
anyway, it's been a minute since I've been on here. I had came here, well, I think like a week ago, collected all my stuff, but I've been like very, 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 very busy. But I'm back. And I came back for two reasons. One, because my guest is in front of me, and two, because yo, Philly's own Tough Crew will be here at 6 p.m.
That's what's up.
But and their song just happened to come on. How ironic! No, Mr. Keith James. I did not purposely put that on. I didn't get the chance to put the music in cue, but since I have, no, you're not Delaware's own, but you're Delaware's residence finest,
Yeah.
Delaware own, yeah, who is running for state rep. You running for mayor?
State rep.
I went for
You-
state representative in Delaware.
Oh, I thought it was
Um,
mayor, but
yeah.
okay. Yeah. But anyway, we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about Carla Cruel. Yes, so let's talk about Miss Cruel. Who is Miss Cruel?
Yes. You want me to answer that?
Yeah, I want to know who he is.
I am a lawyer. Really, who I am is somebody who was born and raised in West Philly. I grew up at 54th and Master, went to Heston, Bieber, Girls High, Drexel, St. Joe's Drexel.
Okay.
I was a high school teacher, high school math teacher here in Philly. And then I went to Japan. I taught there. I came back here. I did some university teaching as adjunct, charter school, became a lawyer. Now I have my own law practice called Legal Empowerment Group. And I am running for City Council District 4 as an independent.
What
So-
type of law do you practice?
So I'm a low bono attorney. I charge people based on their income, and I do civil only. So I'm primarily known for housing stuff, landlord, tenant, property, anything related to property, contracts. I have a few contract litigations that are going on right now, and I do wills and estates as well.
Now, I know that you do.
And I teach a lot.
You teach
So
a
I
lot.
do free legal education classes. Some people know me for practicing law. Some people know me for having taught the law, because I've taught a lot of workshops across the city.
Got you. Now, pro bono, because you do base on people's income, but
So I'm low bono.
Would you ever consider pro?
I do.
Because even though they like,
I do a lot of pro bono work. The thing is, there's a number of agencies around that do pro bono, right? So you have Philly VIP, Community Legal Services. I worked closely with them for the last couple of years. A lot of public interest law. The reason I did low bono is for people who normally can't, their income isn't low enough for
Right.
them to get free legal services, but they don't have enough
No.
money to pay another attorney. So what I do is I work on a sliding scale.
got you. So let me hit you with some good ones. You are running for 4th District
That's right.
Council. The
That is
seats are
correct.
up for grabs. And I'm a stickler for telling people to get out and vote.
Yes, it's super important.
So you are running for actually the district in which this radio station
That's
is
right.
fixated, which is Curtis Jones. No relation. Curtis Jones district. So you are running up against him. Why this district?
Because this is the district that I was raised in. So I grew up at 54th and Master, and having gone away and come back and watching. So I remember the Capitol being open when I was younger. I remember people who lived in the neighborhood owning businesses, corner store businesses that we could walk to. And then to go away and come back and, one, feeling comfortable in your own neighborhood. Two, to just watching like Lansdowne Avenue degrade, where there's fewer and fewer businesses on Lansdowne Avenue. That's what started the process. And then, yes. And then on top of, I mean, initially it was that, and that's why the district seat, I was worried about gentrification. I see it happening. I saw all of I call 4th District West Philly side in pre-gentrification mode, where is all the foundation is laid for gentrification. However, it hasn't completely happened yet. So there's an opportunity to turn the tide. That was why I did it. That was one. I didn't want to do at large because I was really trying to stop gentrification. And I knew at large does not have as much of a hand in stopping that. It's the district city council people who have their hands on the land that are the ones who have the power to change that or not change it. And then my parents separated when I was a kid, and my dad lived up in Roxborough. So I'm actually split between the two halves of the district anyway, growing up and having watched it change over there where they've overdeveloped on that side. People can't find parking. They have housing on top of housing that you can't even breathe. And because I do care about environmental issues, overpopulation is also a problem. And so I felt like I could get into space and actually make a difference.
Gentrification.
Yeah.
Ooh, that seems to be a very hot topic right now.
It is, but they've lied to people and decide to redefine gentrification. So in the media, they talk about gentrification like it's community revitalization. And those two things are not the same thing. Gentrification is the forced displacement of people, and I add on it with government support. You cannot have gentrification without government playing a role in that happening.
Correct.
Now, community revitalization is good. People aren't pushed out. People may choose to move, but they're not forced to move.
All right. So you're running.
I'm running. I've been running. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you like I ask everybody else.
Sure.
Because I'm a stickler literally on getting people to come out and vote. They always say that my vote don't count.
Lies.
I know, because
It's a lie.
I tend to, in your math, you toward
I
math.
love math.
So if
Yes.
you vote and I vote, 1 + 1 is 2. You just do the trickle effect. But anyway,
Can I give you some math that will help people to think about it differently? I do this
Yeah,
when I teach my
please.
classes. So most people are up in arms about Donald Trump being president, right? He got 57 million votes. 52 million. Hillary Clinton got 57 million. Do you not know how many eligible voters there were that did not vote?
a lot.
80 million, more than either one of them got individually. So the people who decided the presidency were the people who did not vote, not actually the people who did.
Correct.
If that 80 million
And
all
came
showed
out.
up and wrote in none of the above, I don't like any of you, we'd have a different United States of America right now.
But it's not going to happen. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen. It's that mentality that my vote won't count. You won't do anything.
It's
for
'cause
me.
they keep
because What
lying.
happens, but the thing is, you're saying the same thing that everybody else that sat in that seat says. Here's my checklist of all the things I'm going to do, and then when you get in the office,
So I
you
never
don't
said
do
I was
them.
going to do anything. You
Ah.
asked me what I was concerned about.
I didn't ask those questions yet.
That's right.
So my question is, why should I vote for you?
The main reason you should vote for me is because I actually care. I'm not a person running for office because I want some upward mobility or I want more money or because I want to be in a position of power and influence. I actually genuinely just want to help people. So I love the Constitution. I'm really into the preamble of the Constitution, we the people in order to form a more perfect union, right? And so one of the things that I have not seen in my lifetime is the people speaking and their representatives actually working on behalf of them. Even though, I might like a lot of the things that AOC is saying, and even though mentally they sound like a great thing, the question is, did you poll the people first? Ask them what's important to them. What's the problem? What's your solution? So here's how I'm different. People want to know what's your platform. I push back every time they ask me what's my platform. It's not about what I want to do. It's what the community wants me to do. So what my goal is to flip everything on its head. I want to have town halls in the community. I don't want to be in City Hall. I want to have meetings on a regular basis, just like as a school teacher I would, right? I want to sit down with the community and say, okay, don't just tell me the problem. Tell me your problem, but tell me how you want to solve the problem. Let's put our minds together. Then go to the experts. Then go to the interest groups. The way it happens now is those with interest in a particular thing go to their politician and say, I want X, Y, and Z passed. I'm saying, no, you don't get to talk to me until you've talked to the community. When the community says, yes, we want this. Yes, this is how we want to do it. Then I go to the experts. Then I put it with the law and say, okay, how do we make this happen in light of the Home Rule Charter, in light of the budget that we have, in light of the Constitution of Pennsylvania, in light of the federal Constitution. Let's put all that stuff together and then draft law, then take it back to the people, get them to approve it, and then I take it to the other city council people and get them to sign off on it. That's not what's happening.
So how is that working out? Because right now the big stink, and one of the big stink in Philadelphia is Temple. Temple shutting down or running through North Philly and
But
literally.
they need to. I mean, I have to be honest. You So there was two people who were going to run against Darrell Clark. One person dropped out early on. The other person got kicked off the ballot, right? And that's sort of the game. Just like that, I was sued in court for them to try to kick me off the ballot. The less people they have as a choice, they assume people won't vote. People have to hold Darrell Clark accountable for what's happening at Temple, right? That's your city council person. That's your mayor. That particularly your district city council person is playing a huge role in that happening. So if you don't like what they're doing, do you know what your home rule charter says that you can do?
We can oust them out, right?
You can impeach them. That is correct. It's
Who
called a
does that?
recall. But people don't do it because they don't know how. When was the last time someone was taught in their class in school about civics, how their local government works, how their state government works and interacts with each other, how the impeachment process happens? I know that when I was a school teacher, even though I was teaching math, I can tell you that they were stripping civics from the classrooms for a long time. And so people don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
So I want to help them know. I'll teach you. That's why I do free classes Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, so that people can know how their government works and how to use the power that they have.
The power that we have, I think I discussed this like numerous times. In foreign countries, when they don't like something, they literally come out in masses and they stay there until changes come.
Like Hong Kong right now.
Hey, we do that 15-minute of fame. I'm tired, whatever. Call me, let me know what happened. Yo, what happened? They get a little upset. It's like, okay. And then it's like, that's it. And what happened? 2 days later, it's like, what happened? And I keep telling people that they work for us.
True. But have you traveled? You've traveled out of the U.S., haven't you?
Years ago, but I traveled mentally.
Okay.
So I know what they do that over there that we can do here, but I don't know why we don't take advantage of
I'm
it.
going to be honest. I'm going to say my opinion is that we don't know. It's going to keep. So So one of the things that super frustrates me. Have you ever watched World News Tonight?
Yes.
How many stories about the world? Maybe 1.5. They talk about national news and they call it World News Tonight. Most Americans don't even know what's going on outside of the U.S. So you're told over and over again, this is the best nation in the world. Things can't be better. Da-da-da-da. You don't see any news overseas. You don't know what's going on overseas. So you think, this is as good as it gets. So things may not be perfect, but we're better than everybody else. And then you get on an airplane and you go. And then you're like, mind blown. Wait a minute. It's what happened to me. I mean, I can't say that I was one of those people like, oh, America's best place in the world. I was like super black militant back in the day. I'm not that way anymore. But I moved to Japan. And when I moved to Japan, the thing that struck me the most was that we had national health care, right? Mm-hmm. And I was only paying 16% in taxes. My federal taxes were 6%. My local taxes were 10%. So I was keeping most of my check. So I'm sitting there like thinking about what do I need to pay for? So I paid very little income tax. It was really low. My housing tax and my local tax was super low. But I had everything provided for me. And I'm sitting there like, well, if this is a capitalist country, and you have all of these jobs, why is it that I have more money in my bank account here than I did in America? So then I come back here and I start looking and I'm like, oh, like 46 to 60% of my check is going to taxes in some form or another, right? You go to the store, you buy something in the store, you're taxed. They take it out of your income tax. They take it out of your real estate tax. So when you look at Philly, we are taxed out the wazoo and nobody knows where the money's going. We got potholes everywhere. Our schools are terrible. I didn't worry about that stuff in Japan. So what Japan did for me was when I came back here, it really, The reason I came back was I felt guilty that my life was so good over there. And I wanted to expose my nieces and nephews and my family and my old students to that what you see here is not all that can be. Things can be better. And if they can be better, then they should be better. And so that's how I feel now. Same thing with city council. It can be better. It should be better. But most people don't even know it. So
Yeah,
So-
most don't know it.
it's my favorite line. My favorite book is 1984, and in it, the main character Winston is looking out on the proletariats, which would be considered the poor and the people who have no power in the book. He looks out on them and he says they have all the power in the world, but they don't know it, so they have no power at all. And so that's what I think about here. So many of us, we actually have the power. We're just unaware of the power that we have. So we never have the ability to exercise it. So we continue to stay powerless.
I have a gentleman that wants to know.
Yes.
What is your agenda? Because he says he's tired of hearing people say, hold them accountable.
Well, I don't know if I said that, but what I can tell you things that concern me. Environmental issues concern me. Gentrification concerns me. The income issues where they say, oh, let's do minimum wage. It needs to move up to $15. Oh, we can only go as far as the state. That's a lie. We can do higher than everywhere else. We just can't go lower. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about the potholes. I'm concerned about the housing. We're being overdeveloped in the city of Philadelphia, and it doesn't need to be this. So that would include the tax rebate and having conversations about changing that. The properties being stolen in the city of Philadelphia. And I think a lot of that comes to people not transferring property into their name after they inherit it from other people in their family. The issues with share sales. Sorry, I could go into these deeper, but I want to list all of these things. But I'm saying to you, sir, the problem is if I sit here and say I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, I can't promise you that. What I can promise that I can do is that if the people are behind me, I can do what they're asking. The more people actually are behind me, then what will happen is it'll put pressure on the other 9 district city council people and the 7 at-large people to support me if they know that I can turn out votes for them, right? But if that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I have the voice of the people behind me, that I am their voice sitting in that seat, that whenever there's a city council hearing, I can say, have you talked to your constituents yet? Why are we sitting here even having a conversation if you have not met with the people in the neighborhood to find out if this concerns them? Let me give you a specific example of this. I was very much a part of the Just Cause eviction bill on the earlier side, right? And one of the things that made me angry in that whole process is, number one, it was dealing with a very small group of people that law would affect once it was passed. That was one. Two, whenever you pass a law from city council, you still need the courts to enforce it. And I was working in the courts, and I knew that it was going to be a problem for the courts to enforce it. So, number three, because it was only dealing with a small group of people, and dealing with a very select group, I wanted to address what were the people actually concerned about. Whenever we went to meetings in city council and I was in the room with Curtis Jones, there was nobody in the room who was affected by this issue. Right? So how are all of these specialists or special interest groups or advocates, how are you speaking for the people when you haven't even talked to the people and asked them what they want? Right? So we're passing laws without even finding out if it's going to affect the daily lives of the people who are actually dealing with the issue. So, yes, I can set out all of these different agendas, but do you want another politician who's going to tell you and make promises they're going to do X, Y, and Z? Or do you want somebody who's going to say, I'm going to shut up and listen and then figure out how can I use my position of power and influence to get done what you need done? How can I make open up the doors. Plus, the other problem is some of the issues we have right now is not that we need something to be done. We need people to get out the way, right? We need people to stop putting their foot on the necks of people so they can't progress. So my goal is I want to open the door. I want to deal with redlining. If I'm in a position of power, I can have conversations with these banks that other people are not having, saying you have no right to not allow people to have business loans in this community. It's blighted because we've not let any businesses grow in this community. We are selling off homes for share sale when we know for a fact that the property assessment values are wrong. So we should have stopped selling any houses on share sale until we find out, are these people truly delinquent, or has the city of Philadelphia messed up in the first place that put these people in this position? And why are they focused on share sales in certain neighborhoods with certain people? And then you go and you look at the tax assessments, and the people who are really behind and delinquent millions and millions of dollars are the developers who are getting the discounts anyway. So none of this makes any sense. So what I'm saying is I'm not going to make you any promises. One promise I can make you is that I'm going to listen, and I am going to effectuate what the people want me to effectuate, not what is in my mind to do. Sorry, I got on my little soapbox. My apologies.
So, I see you were a guest. And I have known this young man for a very long time. There was some sort of a shooting. That's what it was. Haynes Park. I had went away for the weekend and came back that Monday and found out the day before there was a massive shooting and all this stuff. People acting like they didn't have any sense. And there was a meeting, a community meeting at P.S. DuPont Middle School, which looks like a high school. And Mr. James stood up and he was like, yo, I did this. I'm telling you, I know how you can get this to work. And some people listened and other people mocked him. And I listened. I connected, and I'm like, okay, the young man seems to know, what's going on out here. And instead of mocking him, listen to him. And I did. I listened to him and I followed him. And you have him. Mr. James, why are you
Keith
here?
James.
I'm sorry. Let me introduce, ladies and gentlemen. I have Keith James here.
Yeah, so I am here because I've been doing a lot of traveling over the last couple months. As you know, I am on my own campaign trail as well, and through this time of travel, I think it's important for me professionally to see the things that I need to see and do the things I need to do for my business to better set me up personally, professionally, and my family up through my campaign as we go into 2020 race. But why I'm here with Carla Cruel for City Council is simple. I heard about her through the grapevine. And when I saw her messaging, I saw her platform issues, I said, that's somebody I have to work with.
And then he called me immediately.
And I called her immediately. She told me who to talk to after her, and then I called her immediately.
Yes.
And then the next morning she says, I'm free between now and 11, and I called her right then, and I was like, we need to get to work. I think it's important to connect the dots between legislators, even though I'm based out of Delaware, I think it's important to connect the dots between what legislators are doing all throughout our country.
That's right.
With what Carla's doing here in the 4th District in Philadelphia is very important because when I go down to Delaware to talk with our city council down there, which is where most of our legislation starts, or when I go and talk to our house, I think it's important that I'm not down there just thinking that I'm just coming up with all of these ideas fresh, or people think that I just have to come up with these ideas fresh. If I know that Carla has the skills and the tools to deal with gentrification, to deal with job opportunities, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to come to Carla and say, Carla, how can we make this happen in other communities that look like this, in Wilmington, in Chester, in Camden? And that's really what I'm trying to do. I think too many states, social media brings us together faster, but because the speed of the news is coming to us faster, I don't think that we're holding it in a lot longer. So like you said, it's just like a hot topic for a second. So I think it's very important for us to know what's going on throughout our entire country as it relates to politics, and get involved with the grassroots leaders, because there is definitely a new wave of legislators that is going to be coming through 2020, through 2021, 2022, and our leadership is definitely changing throughout the entire country.
So for those that don't know, give them a little synopsis about you, because you did a major change in Wilmington, or just Delaware, period. congratulations on that one. I
Thank
think
you.
I've congratulated you numerous times, but you can never stop.
Yeah, we lowered the mayor age from 30 years old to 25 years old. It was a process that we started immediately after the 2016 election with Mike Brzezicki getting elected into mayor. And the things that we saw at that time, we had the University of Delaware doing studies on our Facebook Lives and what we were doing there. And at that time, we knew what was coming for the city, and we made very clear statements on what we expected with that administration, and we've seen that. And so the leaders at that time said that we wouldn't have the platform or we wouldn't have the ability to lower the mayor age because that's not what the people want, but the people spoke.
Yes, exactly.
The people spoke.
That's what they want.
Exactly, exactly.
And we from city council to the House of Representatives to the state senate got all votes for yes to lower the mayor age because you had to be 30 to be the mayor and 25 to be the council president.
Interesting.
So if
Yeah.
the mayor would have died and I was the 25-year-old council president, it would have been problematic for me to be the next one to take the mayor's seat. So it would have been either between the longest sitting council person or the pro temp. And so the
Interesting.
chain of command was completely broken. It's like if you
Interesting.
had to be 34 to be the vice president, but 40 to be the president. It's just like, but what happens if something happens to the president? You don't
Yeah.
meet the requirements.
And that doesn't make
And
any
so they've
sense.
even considered hiring the council age to 20 from 25 to 30, and we just made it very clear that anybody who voted on that we would vote them out the next election cycle. And so everybody who did tell us they would vote no either wasn't elected in there to be a part of that vote or changed their mind and voted yes. So we
Good,
did that,
good.
and we're doing the clean water resolution,
Which is awesome.
which passed through Wilmington. We're working on it in Chester, and Philadelphia is the next place. But like I said, it's about bringing all of our different cities and problems together and really realizing that whether we live in Philly, whether we live in Camden, whether we live in Wilmington, the underlying issue
That's right.
is that we really don't have the communication and
That's
we don't
right.
have the unity. Communication and unity make up our community. So once we really start identifying our leaders and our modern day leaders who is going to take us and not have the torch passed to them, but we're going to take that torch and run with it, then I'm very hopeful for what we have coming up in politics in our country.
Yes.
Good, cause like 30, I can't wait for you to run for mayor, boy.
If that's what God wants for me right now, I think my most important place to be here in Philadelphia, helping Carla run and win this race, and I think it's important for me to not get caught up in even my election right now because people would tell you that they don't like politics as usual, but tell you to run the same platform,
Exactly.
the same outline
Over
as
and
politics
yes,
as usual.
over and over again.
They'll tell me not to travel right now. They'll tell me I shouldn't be,
That's right.
working on other people's campaigns or we shouldn't be supporting other people. But my thing is, if I supported Carla 6 months ago just because I'm running, I shouldn't. If I have the time now, I'm going to put the time and energy to make sure she gets elected, and that's why I'm putting all my time and
Yeah.
energy and making
Yeah,
sure
making
she
sure
gets
she gets
elected.
elected.
Yes,
Exactly.
each and every day
Yes.
we are out here in West Philadelphia, in Manayunk, and Roxborough, making sure that the voters know about Carla, because we're going against a machine here too. Delaware
Yeah.
has their own things, but when it's generally across the board, we vote Democrat and Republican. When she's running as the independent candidate, I'm realizing that a lot of people just are used to voting by habit. But in this district, it's very unique because the people have been so let down through the leadership that they've had that they're looking for any other name, no matter which box it's in,
Yeah.
as long as the person represents them, as long as the person listens to them.
Yeah.
And that's been the message that we've heard throughout the district.
Over and over
And
again.
I think it's I think it's a blessing that Carla has the heart that she has to be able to want to listen to the people, but not only listen to it. After she listens to the concerns, she comes up with actionable steps, or already has the actionable steps planned out and mapped out that she's able to communicate to talk about how we're going to get there, not just her getting us there, but us getting there together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we seem to get lost when it comes to politics.
We do.
A lot of people really,
I
it's
never
interesting how,
thought I would be here.
they don't want to vote. They don't like politicians, but they want to tell, how when you're watching TV and you're screaming, talking to the TV as if they can hear you. That's
Mm-hmm.
how they are behind closed doors, as if you can hear them. They want to give you great advice, but yet when it's time to tell you that, I don't have time,
Our district has a very low registered voter turnout. So forget about population. it's about 140,000 registered voters. And the usual turnout is between 22 and 25% of those, right? So one of my goals was to inspire the other people who are registered, who don't want to vote because they think it doesn't matter. That was one of the reasons for running as an independent, because this district is super gerrymandered, right? But it's gerrymandered in the opposite way. It was meant to make sure the Republican vote didn't really have any power whatsoever. So, but it has Republicans, Independents, Democrats. What was enlightening to me, I first started running as a Democrat, and then I didn't submit my signatures and switch and ran as an independent. And it was like he said, people telling you how to run your campaign. And initially I was like, I want to run as an independent. People were like, no, you're in Philadelphia, you got to run as a Democrat. So I started running, and then I started meeting people on the street, and they're like, oh, I'm changing my party to Republican. And I'd be like, why? And they're like, I just don't want to be a Democrat. And then so we started running the numbers, and out of the city of Philadelphia, this district has the highest rate of people changing their party. More and more people are changing to independent. That I think they're just so over it, right? They're just over all of it. So the goal is to get, more people to say, you know what? Just like when President Obama first ran, it was inspiring to people to say, wait, maybe something different could happen, right? And so I'm hoping to be a different type of inspiration. I don't have a political background. I am not looking to be a long time, 22, 26 years, 12 years on city council. I have my own law practice, and I intend to go back to that and continue to do it even while I'm in city council. My goal is really to say, I want someone to wake up in the morning and say, I got to go vote for Carla. Like, that's what I want. I don't want them to like, oh, I got to vote. What's that woman's name that I met who seemed kind of all right? No, like, that's not inspiring you, because then I can get you to turn out, and so we can turn Philadelphia around together.
Yeah, Philly does need to be turned around.
Oh my God.
So,
Me too.
If you notice what's happening on a national level,
Yes.
national level with politics is turning people off, but even more so like to this local area. I mean, they've been going through so much with their politicians here, from their state rep to the city council members, our city council at large, and they're seeing so much corruption from Democrats. So on a national level, they're talking about it, and they see, okay, they can identify with Republicans, but the people that have the opportunity and really the privilege to directly impact the quality of life for the citizens here each and every day have been taken from the residents for years and years and years. And so at that point, I think this 2016 elections really took the blinders off of people for them to see that, okay, whether you're our state rep, whether you're our city council, whether you're on local politics or the national stage, that if you do not have the heart for the people, that you are in a position to take from us. And if we are not holding you accountable, then you're going to continue to take from us. And that's why some of these 12-year, 16-year, 20-year legislators are now being challenged by young, bold leaders such as Carla Crew here in the 4th District. And so we are going to be running hard each and every day, and we just want to make sure that everybody gets out November 5th, and when they get to that polling booth and they're looking at for the 4th District, they think outside the box and they remember Carla Crew.
I can honestly say that at some point, a lot of these politicians get in with great intentions, and they do, and they start off like Thomas the Tank Engine, they like, shh, and then they fizzle off, and Janie Blackwell lost. She lost, and what happened was during her election, a lot of people were saying, like, it's time for new blood. She's been in there for a very long time. We get it. She followed her husband's footsteps. He died. She did some magnificent stuff, especially when it comes with the less fortunate. During her birthday, she donates her time and her money. She has the courtyard. She opens up the courtyard for the homeless. So her pretty much her entire work day is spent feeding them. She loves that with a passion, but it's like at some point it's time to pass the torch. And with some of these elected officials that are in office, I really do believe it's time to pass the torch. So I think off the air, I expressed to you that, I went gung ho for Curtis Jones. Only because this radio station is in this district.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of things that he had done And of course, a lot of other elected officials do the same thing. You know, they promise you stuff, and for whatever reason, they renege on them. But he left a nasty taste in my mouth with that park down the street. That's his park, and he made mention that he didn't even know that was his.
Wow.
So I had to take him on a tour because I would
Wow.
cut through there to get back and forth. It's pitch dark in there. You have children and families that cut through from that L right through there. That's a danger
know it.
zone. So nothing has been done to that park. And I went out door to door because I was going to run for an office that someone challenged me on, but it's cool. But going door to door, telling them, hey, you see that park out there? This is what we're going to be doing, because my vision became his vision, and that sat and is still sitting.
Well, you started with politicians. You know, politicians are doing it. Carla's a lawyer and a lifelong educator, so she's not a politician.
I'm
so
not.
So what she's
Yeah.
talking
I don't even
about-
think like. So this is. The
I
thing.
get that, but I'm not saying that all those in
No,
in
no, I
office.
get it.
Their goal is, I have this list of things.
Right.
And this is what I'm going to do. But once you get into office, you get sideswiped because you have somebody that says, okay, I get you. We're going to do this.
Correct.
But then eventually we're going to bring you on. And we're going
Correct.
to help you do this. But that never comes through. And I don't know if it doesn't come through because they just said, they won't support me, forget it. I'm moving on to something bigger and better. I don't see this as important as I thought it was. You know, and
So,
it doesn't
yeah.
become important until it's election time again.
Exactly.
And now you want me to vote for you
Exactly.
again. So I'm supposed to give you another 2 to 4 years.
So you know what I would say, particularly about me. It's one of the first things I did when I ran for city council. When I started running, was I opened up my Facebook page from private to public, because I got privacy issues. Keith can tell you about that. But what I didn't do is I didn't delete anything that was already up there. I let everyone see. So one person said that they actually decided they wanted to vote for me because they were surprised by how much stuff I have out there. So what I would say to people is, go look at what I was saying in 2010 when I wasn't even thinking about running for office, and listen to what I'm saying now. Sure. And there's nothing different. I can tell you, it's better for you to ask people about me. People who talk about me from elementary school to middle school to high school. Now I'm 41, college. Everyone says the same thing. All I care about is results. I'm a super math nerd, and I've been in a relationship for a long time. He calls me a robot. For me, I don't like starting something if it's not going to actually end in a particular outcome. Keith can tell you,
Her why.
I annoy him because he'll say, let's do something. And I say, does the why match the outcome that we are seeking? Because if it doesn't, I'm not going to do it. It doesn't make sense because my time is precious, right? And I don't want to waste my time on things that are going to be ineffective. So all I have to say is, for anyone who questions whether I'm going to be like those before me, I say, look at my record and find out, have I shown myself to be anything but what I'm saying I am?
So speaking of your record,
Yes.
where can they go to find your record?
CarlaCruel.com. I have many versions of it, but if you search CarlaCruel.com, if you go to Google and just type in Carla Cruel, everything will come up. Facebook, Carla_Cruel, Instagram, Carla_Cruel, Twitter, Carla Cruel, and it's Carla, Karla, Cruel, Cruel, like mean,
Like
right?
mean.
Correction.
So,
Facebook is just Carla Cruel. Twitter and
Excuse me.
Instagram is Carla_Cruel.
excuse me, sir. Sorry.
making sure.
And he's don't make me fight you.
Make sure we get that right.
Let's get it right.
I can't vote for you if you don't get it right.
I have a YouTube channel with my videos on there, and it also shows me teaching the law to people. So if you
seen
want
that
that,
video.
you can check that out. But listen, I am all out there, and my cell phone number, I give it out freely because you can call me and grill me if you want. So my number is 215-629-6349. It's also on my cards, on my website, everything. So the number that you see is actually my cell. You'll talk to me.
And then the email is contact@carlacruel.org. So if you send an email to contact@carlacruel.org. One last thing I wanted to say is, for what we're doing here, I mean, once Carla gets elected into this seat, you have to remember, she's going to be the independent that's elected into the seat. So
Yeah.
she's not going to owe or have that obligation or have that weight on her shoulders that the party, we have to remember that these political parties put a lot of pressure. And I'm speaking from my
Yes.
perspective of being a part of the Democratic Party in Delaware. I understand that when I speak up against or not in collaboration with other Democrats, they ask, is it because I support Republicans? I support the people. And I support people who support the people. And so I don't care if it's red, if it looks blue, if it's purple. So
That's why my colors are purple.
That's why our colors are purple, because red and blue together, that brings you purple. So when she gets elected in there, she's not going in. She's not getting big money from anybody like that. She's not owing anybody any favors. And that pressure from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, is it going to exist? I'm sure it is. But knowing Carla, I know that that weight is not going to sit on her shoulders as it would for some people who get in with the Democratic Party, who have to pay those fees, who have to go along for a certain way.
Or
as we
who are
said.
worried about getting reelected. Here's the thing.
Yes.
If people force me 4 years from now to run again, maybe I'll run again. I'm not looking for 12 years. That's too much time
Right.
in one place. That is kindergarten to 12th grade. That's a long time to be in office. The part of the thing is people are trying to get reelected. I just want to create space for other people to come in and be their best selves. I want to create opportunity. And so I'll happily open the door. I love, even though Keith, he seems great, I'm still working on them, right? And so I love developing and mentoring and growing people who are younger than me to take, because I'm still I'm a teacher at heart, right? And so I always want to pour into other people because they already have, and then other people pour into them, and it's just amazing on the other side. So
We're getting the real work started. So.
You get the real work
Truth.
started. Well, I want to thank
Truth.
you both, Carla Cruel
arigato.
and Keith James,
Domo arigato. Thank you.
West Philly's own, coming on here, educating us, enlightening us, enlarging us, and hopefully we can get everyone to come out. If you're not going to vote for Carla, please just get out and vote. But before you vote, please do some research on those that are running. Stop
That's
putting
right,
these
that's
people
right,
in
that's
office
right.
without finding out what exactly, and hold these people accountable. You are their boss. You know how I know? Because come election time, what do they always do? They come knocking at your door talking about something. Can you vote for me? And this is why you should vote for me. It's like a resume. It's like it's a job. Like, hey, there's a job opening, and hey, I want it. So what do? I put my best foot forward. I put on my nice suit and tie, my dress, skirt, whatever, and I go out and I introduce myself and I tell you why you should hire me. Well, this is no different. So I appreciate y'all coming out here. You got to keep me connected. When is election? November the 5th.
November 5th, and
Tuesday.
registration is up soon.
Is it?
What's today's date?
Today is
The third. You have 3
3rd.
more days to register to vote.
Yep.
If you do an absentee ballot, you have until 6 days before the election. So it's
So-
October 29th.
Whatever you do, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you do, please get out and rock your vote.
Truth.
But in the
They wanna
meantime,
volunteer
and
for
all
the
up in
meetups.
between time, I'm going to take a pause for the cause, play some music, and we'll be right back because, yo, at 6 o'clock, oh my gosh, I know it's 6 o'clock right now. We got Tough Crew coming on, my part of town.